Sunny, but a bit of a cold winter day here in Wesel, Germany, where we want to test out those here, the Honor Magic 6 RSR versus the brand new Honor Magic 8 Pro. Here you can see the camera specifications on both of them. 50 megapixel main camera, same size sensor, but a newer one on the 8 Pro. We have 180 megapixel telezoom and a 200 megapixel telezoom, and 50 megapixel ultra wide angle being the same, as well as a 50 megapixel front facing shooter. And I think we start off with the front facing videos. Front video now on both. What do you think about this one here? Both feature 0.8 times and 1x magnifications. Both are pretty stable. Which one has better HDR? Hard to tell. Maybe I see a bit more blue on the sky there on the 6 RSR. Maybe the 6 RSR has a bit of an edge here. What do you think about both of them? We can go also to the ultra wide angle again, and they don't have an animation for zooming in and out, which is a bit of a bummer here. Bit of a shame. What do you think about both of them? In terms of stabilization, I think both are doing a fine job. Both feature autofocus, so the 6 RSR has autofocus here, and also the 8 Pro has autofocus and should be nicely focusing on the camera bump here. So what do you think about both of them here? Let's switch to the main camera sensors now. I'm recording with the main camera sensors on both here, both 101.28 inch size sensors here. And what do you think about this one in terms of HDR? The 6 RSR has the advantage of an aperture. It can have only two different stages there. F2 is the one that it's recording by default when you're recording videos. Which one is performing better here? I noticed on screen at least the 8 Pro looks a little bit sharper, maybe even over sharpened, where it's a bit softer on the 6 RSR, which I like a little bit personally. 4K 30, 4K 60 frames per second are possible, but the 8 Pro also has 4K 120 frames per second, which is quite cool. You can switch to the ultra wide angle, which is pretty wide, 0.5 times. And here's 0.5 times as well, to get my hand out of the way. This is the ultra wide angle. You see the Wesel on ice stage is already done here. So the ice is already prepared here at the Berlin Gate in Wesel. So pretty nice here indeed. And what we want to do right now is perform a little zoom test. So we start off with the ultra wide angle for the zoom test. We go directly to 2x on both. Both very nice and fine. Which one is performing better here? Also in terms of stabilization, let's go to 2.6 times here and to 3.7 times there. So it's a bit more cropped in. And we can go up to 10x here on the 6 RSR. And we reached now 10x also on the 8 Pro. So in terms of stabilization, the 8 Pro is doing better, and I think the 8 Pro can go up to 15 times. It's also a bit sharper. What do you think? And let's see the zoom out animation as well, directly to 1x. Very, very nice indeed. Both here doing this fine job. Let's perform another zoom test here, maybe on the text, like 2.6x there, 3.7x here. Looks fine. Let's go to roughly the same kind of view that we had here. So what do you think? Which one is performing better there? Stabilization is definitely better on the 8 Pro. And I can go 10x here. And I can go 10x here as well. To zoom in manually for this. So which one is performing better? I think it's still the 8 Pro. So what I noticed immediately is that the HDR seems to be a little bit better on the 6 RSR. Thanks to the aperture probably, as well as the sensor. And what I also noticed is you can see the reds there much more accentuated on the 8 Pro in comparison to the 6 RSR. So this red is just way too punchy, way too over sharpened looking on the 8 Pro. And also the stones are looking more realistic on the 6 RSR, which is a bit of a bummer. So in terms of colors, they have to work a little bit on still this. How is stabilization here? Let's go to the ultra wide angle. What do you think about both of them here? How fine are they doing? Also with camera switching, lens switching. Let's go to 2x here as well. And everything else there. I think they're doing a fine job in terms of videography, but it's maybe that I prefer the 6 RSR because of its softer look and not so over-processed, over-sharpened look on the 8 Pro. Let's check out the photos. We start up with the telephoto. What we can see immediately on the Magic 8 Pro is a bit of an overexposure, cooler colors, more contrast, where the Magic 6 RSR has a little bit more lifted shadows and a warmer picture. But also better HDR. Look at the sky there, much nicer exposed. The sign here and the sun is yellow like it should be, where here it's a bit overexposed in my opinion. When it comes to sharpness and detail level, I don't see much of a difference between those two here. Maybe the 6 RSR is a bit over sharpening, where the 8 Pro is not doing that so much. When we take a look at the main camera sensor, we see the big switch on the Magic 8 Pro to 23mm, which gives a wider field of view than the 6 RSR's 27mm. This was already a switch that we have done with the 7 Pro, so the predecessor of the 8 Pro. Not much of a difference there. But when we take a look again at HDR colors, we see much warmer colors on the Magic 6 RSR, where the Magic 8 Pro has cooler colors. Sharpness and detail level is a huge difference, because here you have water painting on the 6 RSR, where the 8 Pro has clearly more details, much better in the picture frame. Look at the trees here and compare them with this one. Very, very nice indeed. And also text much more readable on the 8 Pro. This is an improvement that you will notice. Ultra wide angle. Is there an improvement that you will notice? A slight, because we have a wider field of view on the 8 Pro, where the 6 RSR has 13mm, the 8 Pro features 12mm. In terms of colors, again, rendition a tiny bit warmer. I think HDR might be a bit more aggressive there on the 6 RSR, but everything else, it seems to be a tiny bit better on the 8 Pro. Not only the wider field of view, but also the text and sharpness and detail levels on the middle, but also towards the sides. It's a tiny bit better there. Look at this here, comparison to this one here. Tiny bit better. Look at here and the tiny text there down below, which is like a little bit better readable here on the 8 Pro. So tiny advancements, but almost negligible. Then I tried out the telezooms in a further zoom distance here. The 6 RSR has 5x zoom, which is 135mm, that this 8 Pro doesn't have. So it has a 7 times zoom, I think it is, 170mm here. And I used this one, but I also switched to this one here. Both are over sharpening a little bit, and you can see some over sharpening artifacts around this pole there. In terms of detail levels and so on, I don't see much of a difference, to be completely honest there. Even though here I would say at the 135 mark, maybe the 6 RSR is a tiny bit better, where at the 170mm, so what is 7x or something like this, more over sharpening, more processing definitely happening, but also I think a tiny bit sharper there as well. When we check out the 10x zoom, it's 230mm on the Magic 8 Pro, where the 6 RSR has 270mm. Without AI turned on, you already see that the 8 Pro is much better in terms of detail levels. Yes, heavily processed for sure, but it is just more details that you have that the 6 RSR cannot reproduce, so that really upgraded the telezoom sensor tremendously here. The ultra wide angle, again, to see a big difference there. Yes, the HDR and colors are a bit better on the 6 RSR, or a bit different than on the 8 Pro. Actually, I saw more with my own eyes what the 6 RSR is showing, instead of what the 8 Pro is showing. The detail levels here, it's really neck to neck, and I don't see much of a difference between them. But if you see in pixel peep around the leaves here, it seems to be a bit wishy-washy on the 6 RSR, where it's a bit clearer there on the 8 Pro. And it's hard, this kind of motif, but I think the 8 Pro has a slight bit of an advantage also towards the downside edge there. So I give it slightly to the 8 Pro, but it's a very slight difference. Here you can see the bokeh difference between those two main camera sensors here, 27 again versus 23mm, or 23 versus 27. Sharpness and detail level, yes, even the Spider-Man both can capture very nicely. The bokeh looks a bit smoother on the 6 RSR because it is like more cropped in at 27mm. It's a bit more busy there on the 8 Pro. The levels of details here, the text and so on, not much of a difference between those two. Even the colors very, very close, both in their default vivid profile. This is why it's more vivid here. And you can see again, I think the 6 RSR maybe a bit better with HDR, but it's burning here, where here it's not so much burning, it's just more yellowish there. So it's very, very close together, but I think in general I would give it to the Magic 8 Pro, even though I like the bit brighter picture here of the 6 RSR in contrast to the contrastier picture on the 8 Pro. Selfie cams very close together as well, more punchy colors on the 6 RSR, where the 8 Pro has a bit more muted colors, especially in the background. The yellow stripe, look at this one, more punchy there for sure. When it comes to detail levels, the 6 RSR is heavily over sharpening, where the 8 Pro is not doing that so much. It is softening things up a little bit, smoothing my face a little bit as well. Neck to neck here between those two, but yeah, which one you like, which one you prefer, because it is not only smoothing here my face but also my jacket, for example, where the 6 RSR just looks a tiny bit sharper than what we get on the 8 Pro. And then we can also switch to 28mm, which is close to the default on the Magic 6 RSR's 27mm. So the 8 Pro can do that, and when you compare them here side by side, more bluish picture on the 8 Pro, a bit more warmer on the 6 RSR. Detail levels almost identical. You don't notice much of a difference between those two, which is a fantastic thing for the 8 Pro, because it means, yeah, you don't lose anything by just going to 23mm. You can crop in still to 28 and don't lose anything. And the detail levels are fantastic. Look at the sign here. It looks like that this, what is it? The street name there is in black, which is actually red. And you can see it here on the 8 Pro, but you don't see it on the 6 RSR. And it's not changing its colors for sure. And also in terms of like detail levels here, I think a bit darker exposure on the 6 RSR, but slightly only. Look at the shadows there and here. Otherwise, very identical with each other, which the sensor size might play a big role there as well, of course. Not much difference in between those shots here at 27 or 28mm. Again, a compliment for the 8 Pro because it is cropping in. 35mm I like immediately better on the 6 RSR. Yes, why is that the case? Because of colors. It's an overexposure on the 8 Pro, and the contrast here kind of look creates this bit of fake kind of look that I really don't like. And the 6 RSR is doing a much better job, even though like the detail levels and so on both are basically identical. There's maybe a slightly bit more artificial looking on the 6 RSR than on the 7 on the 8 Pro, but there's not much of a difference between those two, to be completely honest. Then this shot, 2x zoom, which is a crop of the main sensor, clear win for the 8 Pro. Not in terms of colors, because it's again a little bit too bright, too punchy maybe, where the 6 RSR is a bit better capturing this brownish kind of wood instead of this like orangey kind of wood. But the detail levels, this is a huge difference, as you see here. Much more details that I can see here on the 8 Pro, and this is not artificially sharpened. This is just natural details that you have that are still not there. It's just simply too blurry on the 6 RSR, and this is where the 8 Pro is winning. Tele shots for portraits or portrait shots, 2x on the Magic 8 Pro. For some reason it switches to 2x for this kind of shot, where the Magic 6 RSR is going to its 2.5x, so 68mm. So it's a bit more cropped down and cropped in. Hardcore portrait shots, both in the hardcore classic style and both doing a fantastic job here, I would say. There's a slight color difference, again a bit warmer on the 6 RSR and a bit cooler on the 8 Pro. Otherwise, in terms of detail levels, almost identical, which is a bit surprising to me. But we have also the possibility to go to its 3.7x, which is 85mm native telezoom, and then it's much closer again in terms of colors. Again, just maybe the exposure a bit overexposed on the, or a bit brighter exposed on the 8 Pro. Otherwise, you can see me here in the mirror as well. Detail levels almost identical then between those two. Also the colors, only slight differences. And then you can also use the portrait mode for such shots here. I really like it because this classic hardcore portrait style gives a bit of vignetting, and this can be done and utilized also for objects just like this one here, where I like the Porsche Designs Magic 6 RSR's 68mm much better than the 46mm that we have here, the default portrait shots modes. Both are doing a fine job in terms of detail levels. You can see here both get it. I think here a little bit less sharp, where here it's really on point. So yes, I think in terms of sharpness and detail levels, maybe there we see a difference with the Magic 8 Pro being a bit better. Human subjects here, again, the 6RSR's exposure I like a bit better because it's creating a 3D depth effect, even though I think that the algorithms are a bit weaker on the 6RSR because they also made this woman here in the background face sharp, where here the 8 Pro intelligently says, she's further away, so let's make her blurry as well. But the overall exposure on the 8 Pro is just a bit too bright and doesn't get this depth effect that I really like to have. Otherwise, the cutouts here on this lady, for example, almost identical there. Both struggle a little bit with the nose, but the hair and so on is like, because you don't have too much weird hair, is working fine. Here the 6RSR cutout issues are apparent, where the 8 Pro is much better, but it's a bit sharpening, over sharpened eventually on the face here. But which one you prefer here? I have to say probably I would give it to the 8 Pro because the cutouts are a bit better there. So in terms of portrait mode, we see an improvement on the 8 Pro, even though the styling on the 6RSR might be a little bit better. But the cutouts and the depth perception is better on the 8 Pro. And the 8 Pro also features the possibility to go 7.6 times, no, 7.4 times zoom for the portrait shot. We don't have in-between zooms, but we have like 3.7, 5.9 and the 7.4, which is 170 millimeter, which is quite interesting. But in this case, I don't think it's very usable. I was standing still, they were not walking too much, and it's... Nope, this is not the correct way. But let's check out some portraits that I did indoors with studio light. Indoor shots with 2 times zoom here. It seems to be that the 6RSR is choosing a bit of more background blur here. Maybe I was a bit standing a little bit closer to it, but actually I had a marking on the floor. It should be at the same spot there. It's just like a bit closer up there. In terms of colors, it seems to be a bit warmer on the 8 Pro. Detail levels is what is more important, and I think here the 8 Pro is destroying the 6RSR. That looks like wishy-washy a bit. Here it's definitely over sharpened and having some issues, but look at the hair and the details there. Just simply night and day difference there. The 8 Pro is destroying the 6RSR. When it comes to the telezooms, we have the 68 and we have the 85. Actually, it is the 85 millimeter here. Difference is again a bit greenish looking on the 6RSR, where it's a bit warmer looking on the 8 Pro. Detail levels, again, a huge difference there. I think the 6RSR is losing against the 8 Pro, not only because it's a bit closer, just because we have more details and it looks just nicer, looks more like me, where here it looks like an edited version of me, which is not so nice. Then we can go even further here, which is interesting enough, both 135 millimeter. It's 5x on the 6RSR, and I think it's 5.9, 6 point something. It is 5.9x on the 8 Pro. And again, you see the difference between here and here. It's getting duller, it's darker as well, and the detail levels are just simply not there. And yes, the 8 Pro is heavily artificially here, but the detail levels are there and it looks a bit nicer. If I have to choose between those two, both I don't really like, but I think the 8 Pro is doing a quite better job there. And then the 8 Pro can even go a bit further. This is now 170 millimeter. I don't know who will really need it. 7.4 times zoom, and this is, I think, the other one was already borderline usable. This one is like just a bit too much, I would say, and I wouldn't use it for portrait shots. It's just simply too artificial looking there. The cutouts are nice, so this is something that I can tell you it's much better. Even if we go back here and look at the cutouts there and compare it with here, you see it's much more detailed, much more nicer on the 8 Pro. So yes, we see an improvement in terms of photography of portraits on the 8 Pro for sure. 4K 24 frames per second, super nice video now on the Magic 8 Pro. What do you think about this one? How about the audio quality? I'm walking towards the light here. What do you think about the stabilization? Standing now under the light, how good is the lens coating here? Do we get any lens flare effect, especially when I walk towards the dark here and we have the light in the background here? What do you think about the quality here of the Magic 8 Pro, especially also in terms of colors? What do you think about the night performance here on the Magic 8 Pro? And now the super night video mode on the Honor Magic 6 RSR. This one has a nice sensor, 101.28 inch size sensor. It has the physical aperture that is also opening up for this one here. What do you think about the quality also of the audio? Walking towards the light, standing now under the light. How's the lens flare here going on? Especially when I walk away from the light, do we have more lens flare? How's the coating here on this one doing? What do you think about the stabilization on the Magic 6 RSR? And yeah, now I'm in the dark, turning around towards the light. What do you think? Which one performed better, this one or the Magic 8 Pro? Night photos, the 6 RSR is losing for sure in the ultra-wide angle department here when it comes to night photos. It's either processing, the sensor, the lens setup, or all of them combined, because you can see here, even though it is a bit over sharpened on the 8 Pro, it's much more detailed. It's very, very soft looking on the 6 RSR, and the 6 RSR cannot compete here with the detail levels of the 8 Pro. It's just like mushy, too mushy at all. In all aspects here, it's just simply the foliage here compared with the cars left and right. You will see that there's a huge difference between those two. Clear win here for the 8 Pro. Main camera sensor, also a huge difference where you can see the 6 RSR, clearly a nighttime photo. The 8 Pro looks like almost, yeah, raised to oblivion, almost like a sunset kind of shot. So much more brighter it looks like here. And in terms of HDR, we have a clear win on the 8 Pro. The 6 RSR is fighting but cannot compete on the same level. And also in terms of detail level, it's not just darker. Also in terms of detail level, you can see it's struggling here on the 6 RSR. It's noisy, and here, compare it with here, we can clearly see there's just different colors there, where here it's like mushy already. And here as well is a bit softer, it's a bit less processed looking there. You can see here mushy here clearly visible, and up here as well it's like you can clearly see what's going on here with by the raised shadows, but also the detail levels are just more there on the 8 Pro. It's a clear win on the main camera sensor here for the 8 Pro. Now the telezoom lens, also a clear win for the 8 Pro again. But not so clear on the first glance. First of all, we have more problems with the light here, which the 6 RSR handles it better, so better coating eventually. It's raising the shadows again, also maybe too much raising them. In terms of detail levels, yes, it is winning with a slightly larger sensor, because it's much more grainy here looking on the 6 RSR. And in terms of detail levels as well, here the exposure better. The logo's a bit better, like the Aldi logo has yellow, orange, red, where here it's just yellow and red. What you can see, the Bush logo is also nicely done. The Easy Fitness logo is better readable, but it's a bit more cropped in. So what about when I crop into 5x here on the 6 RSR? Is it getting better? Yes, it is getting a bit better, and also the distinguishing of the colors is getting a bit better. So yes, it's just this, but also the colors again a bit overblown, those colors there in comparison. And when you go to 10x and compare with the 10x here, it's a bit more cropped in. A 6 RSR, keep that in mind. A bit noisier again on the 6 RSR, and I think it is a win here also for the 8 Pro. So the 8 Pro is beating the 6 RSR hands down when it comes to night shots. How about selfies? This is quite interesting, because I like the 6 RSR a little bit better here in terms of colors, because it looks like I used flash on the 8 Pro, like the old days. This might be a preference for some, but I like the more natural style, how I look on the 6 RSR, where here it's just look too pale on the 8 Pro. Differences in terms of sharpness and details. I think the 8 Pro went mental with its processing here. It's sharpening things up. It's not looking too artificial, I have to say. Yes, my eyes, maybe a little bit. This they can tune down a little bit and make the eyebrows look a bit weird. I prefer the 6 RSR here actually, because it is a bit softer, but it's not losing too much detail that the 8 Pro is like artificially trying to add in here. The bokeh also looks a bit nicer, where here it's just like boring. Yeah, in terms of like everything else, yeah, it's a bit softer for sure on the 6 RSR. You be the judge here, but I would just give, because it's looking too processed on the 8 Pro. We can agree with this, and it's looking much pleasanter on the 6 RSR, even though the sharpness is not there, but the detail level is not. There's not much difference in terms of detail level. It's just that the 8 Pro is sharpening everything up to oblivion. So I'm preferring the 6 RSR here in the selfie night shots for sure. And then an extreme test, when you zoom in even further, 340mm, and I tried to match it with the 6 RSR, couldn't really, but you see the 6 RSR doesn't stand a chance, completely overblown here. Where here, yeah, it's hard to read if you don't know what it's written there, but at least you can see that there is some text on the 8 Pro. So the 8 Pro is taking the cake here when it comes to night photos. Ranking and conclusion, TLDR, the Magic 6 RSR gets 4.510 points, where the Magic 8 Pro gets 4.620 points. So we have a clear winner here, which is the Honor Magic 8 Pro. Where do we see most of the differences? An improvement in the main camera photo quality is apparent on the new Magic 8 Pro. In contrast to its predecessor, the Magic 7 Pro, that wasn't so apparently better than the 6 RSR in terms of main camera photo quality. It is definitely now the case on the Magic 8 Pro, especially with the detail levels that we have here. Not so much HDR, because I think the 6 RSR has a bit of a slight edge there in HDR, especially at daylight. But at nighttime, the processing is much better on the 8 Pro. We have more details there. It is brightening everything up, which might be a bit too artificial, but also the detail level is definitely there, and the HDR seems to be a bit better there with the bright lights. The ultra-wide angle is a slightly bit better on the Magic 8 Pro. At daylight, you notice not much of a difference between them, just a wider field of view, slightly wider field of view on the Magic 8 Pro. But at nighttime, it becomes very apparent that the Magic 8 Pro is heads over heels over the Magic 6 RSR. Zoom and portrait photography is also a huge benefit now, a huge step up for the Magic 8 Pro, where it was always a little bit disappointing on the Magic 6 series in general, because we had good specs, but the results didn't speak for themselves. The Magic 8 Pro finally fixes that and gives us good zoom results, also at 10x zoom and beyond. With good processing as well. Even if you have AI turned off, it is working pretty much very good in comparison to the Magic 6 RSR. And also the portraits are now finally usable on the Magic 8 Pro. It's not 100% fighting against Oppo and Vivo yet, but it's very, very close to them, much closer than the Magic 6 RSR. That was simply almost unusable with its hardcore portrait style. And we have also a bit more styling features there, which is also quite nice, which help with achieving certain styles in terms of portraits. Portraits finally usable on an Honor Magic device. Again, video recording quality is a slightly bit of a disappointment on the 8 Pro right now. It has a bit of stutter when you pan with the main camera sensor, which is a bit annoying that I noticed. And together with the awful color signs that they added, the Magic 6 RSR was pretty good with this. It didn't over sharpen too much, it didn't yellowish the face, it didn't have too much contrast. Everything has changed with the Magic 8 Pro. Too much contrast, too much yellow colors, over sharpened look. Not looking very good, especially also when you go to the ultra-wide angle. So unnatural looking on the 8 Pro, where the Magic 6 RSR has a more unified look there. But, and this is why it gets 4.5 instead of 4.4 points, the Magic 8 Pro's zoom level is beyond good and evil. It is way better than the 6 RSR. Can definitely be scratching on Xiaomi's and maybe even Oppo's door there. It's pretty close there. Sometimes even beating them eventually. But when it comes to stabilization, it is one of the best there for sure as well, where the 6 RSR is struggling a little bit there. In general though, however, I still find that the 6 RSR overall, because most of the time you're not zooming in 10x all the time, overall as a video with the main camera sensor, with the selfie cam, with the ultra wide angle, gives you a more pleasant video with good stabilization as well, not those struggles with stabilization. So 4.6 points here, it's beating the 8 Pro. Honor can easily fix it on the 8 Pro, tune down the sharpening a bit, get rid of this too contrasty kind of look and too yellowish kind of face, and fix the stabilization and stutters there, and then you are good to go. And by the way, it's the global version that I'm testing here of the Magic 8 Pro. I think the Magic 8 Pro Chinese version has already the fix for the stuttering of the stabilization, so that should be not an issue in a future release. And then probably I have to do a retest, and then we can raise the points of the Magic 8 Pro there as well, hopefully in video performance. Autofocus performance is a bit better on the 6RSR, naturally, because it has a laser autofocus, and not only laser, LiDAR autofocus, which is almost always spot on, where the 8 Pro sometimes can struggle in high contrast and backlit situations. The front-facing camera, it's a hard story. I prefer the Magic 6 RSR, but in general I can understand why the Magic 8 Pro might have more fans, because it is a bit more sharp and a bit more detailed, especially when you crop in a little bit, and when you zoom out it appears to be a bit more crisper than the 6 RSR's more boring kind of soft look. Nevertheless, both in terms of detail levels almost identical there. None of them is really struggling, so I give them benefit of the doubt here, the same kind of points. Camera UI wise, however, the Magic 8 Pro is definitely winning against the 6 RSR. We have a better user interface that's more friendly for one-hand usage, and they made a good impression there, good improvement on the new camera UI. And I think and I hope the 6 RSR with Magic OS 10 will also get the same camera UI, then I can raise the points there as well. In terms of extra features, we have also slight or more advantage on the 8 Pro. 4K 120 frames per second is possible. Log and LUT footages in the Pro mode, Pro video mode are possible, and some extra features are in there. However, they removed one feature. This is why only 4.4 points. They removed the movies mode. That was so good, and it's so good on the Magic 6 RSR, because you can just record directly in classic LUT in 4K 30. It's not possible anymore on the 8 Pro. You have to record in log and then later on apply the LUT later in post-production, which is a bit of a shame. Hopefully they will add it back into the Magic 8 Pro. I don't know why they removed it, because it was, I think, a good mode. Bit redundant eventually, but then give us the same functionality in the normal video mode, then I would be happy as well. Otherwise, where does it end up in the ranking list now? Let's check it out. It is amongst the top ranked here, even amongst the Ultra phones. I could imagine, because I didn't test it yet, the X300 Pro being a bit better than the 8 Pro, and the Find X9 Pro even being better than the X300 Pro. So it would be still amongst the best there in terms of this, and it's leading currently over the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. Where are the big differences? The Xiaomi 15 Ultra has the same kind of points when it comes to the main camera photo quality. It is a bit weaker with the ultra-wide angle, because we have a wider field of view on the Magic 8 Pro for sure. And when it comes to the zoom portrait photo quality, there's a bit of a struggle. I don't have the 15 Ultra to check out the portraits again, but I think the 15 Ultra and the Magic 8 Pro are head-to-head when it comes to the zoom levels. It's just the portraits. I think the Xiaomi might be the better choice for portraits still, but this is just my personal preference here. Speaking, I cannot test them against each other because I don't have the 15 Ultra. If someone wants to send me the 15 Ultra, doesn't want it anymore for this test, then I will gladly do it. Video recording quality is better on the 15 Ultra. It's just simply doesn't have these bugs, and the colors are much nicer there for sure. Autofocus performance is identical. Front-facing camera is weak on the 15 Ultra. There's where Honor is winning there. Camera UI wise, they are almost on par. Very nice one-hand ability to, very similar actually what they did there with their UI. It's very nice, but the 15 Ultra is definitely winning in terms of extra features there. We have the presets for photos that are very, very nice here. We have this quick fast shot mode, it's called, which is very, very nice, specifically if you want to do street photography, where we don't have anything equivalent on the Magic 8 Pro. You just have to use the normal mode there. And yeah, in terms of X100 Ultra, might be also something interesting to test out. Both almost the same there with the main camera sensor. Ultra wide angle is a bit weaker on the X100 Ultra, and we have zoom and photo portrait quality much better on the X100 Ultra. This is something that portraits, I'm pretty sure already the X100 Ultra will beat the Honor Magic 8 Pro. But in terms of like zoom capabilities, would be interesting to see if one is better over the other. Videos, definitely X100 Ultra is a bit better there, even though it struggles a lot with the front-facing camera. Front-facing camera is one of the weakest points there on the X100 Ultra, but the rest is almost identical between those two, as you see here. So X100 Ultra and Honor Magic 8 Pro, it's fantastic that Honor is coming from what was the highest rank before, Magic 6 RSR, which is here, and the X100 Ultra is here, So it's really skipping ahead now and coming on the same level as the X100 Ultra, roughly, with a device that came out 1 year later. After a bit of like Magic 7 Pro down here, not so great doing there. I think it's a good upgrade. The Magic 8 Pro leaps upgrade in terms of cameras, and now really competing against the Ultra phones as a Pro phone and against the Vivo and Oppo Pros that are amongst the best Pros that can fight the Ultras as well. So yeah, good job, Honor. And that's it for this video. If you have some questions, comments and so on, write it down in the comment section. Until the next time, bye.